And welcome to Tribe Talk, where we take sermon and conversation. Today we've got an incredible guest to share with you and talk about some of the takeaways from Pastor Keith's service message this past Sunday. But before we jump into it, let's take a look at this clip from Pastor Keith.
Watch this. You know the reason we self-deprecate? Because we don't feel worthy. The reason we self-deprecate is because we don't want to come across egotistical. The reason we self-deprecate, oh, I'm not that much, and my life doesn't matter that much, and oh, it's just all about Jesus. Listen, God created you with glory, and God created you to manifest glory, and you can't do it playing small. Come on. There's something in you that the world needs.
And welcome back. Chad Bleckner, thank you so much for joining us today on Tribe Talk. I'm super excited to have you here join us to talk about Pastor Keith's past Sunday service. This is the second week of the New God Has for You, which it's just been an incredible conversation. And this past Sunday, he was really talking a lot about manifesting what God has given into us, His glory and everything. And you and I were talking before recording, and there's so many great things. I can't wait to get with you about this. But one of the points that really resonated with me from Pastor Keith was God created everything to manifest His glory. And he shared a quote from Miles Monroe. It was a wonderful quote, talked about, the perfection and, sunsets, and one of the things that really stuck out to me was God's glory is revealed at the point of perfection. And I thought that was such a powerful statement. What a great quote as well. But I want to kind of get your feedback or your feel on that. God created everything to manifest His glory. What was kind of your take on that?
So immediately it was, some of our favorite places as a family, which is the beach. Ooh. Right? And just absolutely love it there. We recharge our batteries there. And anytime I'm at the beach or out in nature and in that kind of environment, it is a recharge, because to me it is the opportunity to kind of see what God's done and really reminds us on how minute but important we are in this world, right? So it's very majestic, and then yet we realize that we're a part of it. And the opportunity to kind of enjoy that is something that, I get to look at on a daily basis, and reminds me that if He can make that, then I am so fortunate and so blessed.
Oh, that's so good. And that speaks to some of the things that Pastor Keith talked about was places are important. And, where Pastor Keith was talking about, in Genesis 1, where, God created the places first, and then He created man. And I love that you're recognizing that, the beach is your place. That is a place that God has created for us. And I love that you have that appreciation and that recharge capability, and, just understanding that that's a place that God built for us.
It truly is, and again, to me, it sets the picture and helps us understand how big He is, how vast He is, and yet we're just fortunate to be a part of it.
Yeah, but and how valuable we are as well. That He waited to create us last.
Absolutely.
And we're so blessed to have that. Another thing that Pastor Keith talked about was God is pleased when His glory is seen. And he shared one of his leadershipologies, which I want to quote because I don't want to mess it up. It's so good. The glory of God that you have within you, your 1%, is what God has given you, your fingerprint, that only you can give others. That's your imprint. And I want you to talk about that. For me, Chad, I know you here at church, and I love it when I see your glory manifesting itself as a servant leader, and you're in the bookstore. That's one of the places that you serve. Yeah. And what is so fascinating and what I admire about you is not only do you serve in the bookstore, your wife serves in the bookstore, and your daughter serves in the bookstore. And it's just, I see it, that glory of God through that servant leadership. So tell me, what is that all about? What does that mean for you?
So it's kind of a funny story is, we've been here since 2008. I served many years in other capacities, and it was just never something that I said, oh, I want to go do that. I want to go serve with my wife. To me, it was an opportunity for us to kind of be away from each other and kind of get into our own thing. But due to, Godfidence, if you will, that somebody asked me to serve, and we were low in staff at the time, or servant leaders at the time, and I joined, and we just started serving together, and it's been such a blessing for us. And then at the same time, we wanted to get our daughter involved in it, and we looked at other areas. And she's a people person like me. She loves people. She loves to, interact with folks and sell stuff, and so it was just a good opportunity and a natural fit for us to serve together. But what it means to me is it really allows us to do the one thing that to me is most important, is to worship God together, to be with Him, and to show others what's that about, and really try and hand something down to my daughter that I didn't get as a child. So it's an opportunity for us to, from a legacy perspective, to teach something to her that I never got, and and then at the same time enjoying it with my spouse and so forth.
And I think, Chad, what you're doing there, serving together as a family, your wife, your daughter, and I love one of the things I want to kind of pick out that you said is you wanted to give your daughter a chance to have something that you didn't have beforehand.
Yeah.
And you serve together, and so you're putting her in a place, if you will, like Pastor Keith said, places are important, but you're putting her in a place in which she can start growing and manifesting her fingerprint, her 1% through that servant leadership. Would you agree? Is that
absolutely? I've mentioned, we've talked a lot in the past that I did not grow up in a religious household, and to be able to see, and the 16 years we've been here, what we've learned, my wife has talked about what it would have been like to have this growing up, and so to be able to give that gift to her. As a parent, you always want your child to do better than you did, right? To have more than you did, to be smarter than you. And to me, that's one thing that we get to do, and to see her grow well beyond what we would ever be able to do.
And it's so amazing because I love the word that you said, it's a gift. It's a gift you're giving to her, of coming into the house and serving. And you're manifesting glory, God's glory, through helping her have more than what you had before. And I love, Pastor Keith had mentioned at one time before, like, as a parent, you want your ceiling to be their floor. And I love that you're doing that for your daughter, and it's so evident how you guys interact.
Yeah, and it's standing on the shoulders of giants too. Not that I'm a giant, but it's elevating them and giving them a platform to go beyond what you've been able to accomplish.
Yeah, and you guys are doing it as a family, which I think is so valuable, and that really is manifesting God's glory, because God wants the family is so important, and that really is glorifying God, because you guys are serving together here in the house. Man, I'm sure that is indeed manifesting God's glory. And that kind of brings us to another point that Pastor Keith had brought up, was God created man as the ultimate reflection and exposure of His glory. And one of the points he talked about was manifest His glory by displaying our own.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from you being a strong father and a strong husband by bringing your family to church. And that's one of the points that Pastor Keith brought up was, a role as a husband and the father is to lead the family. And here you are bringing them to church.
It's not something, again, that I was raised with. I will tell you that my dad raised me with a lot of great, probably values, but that were not based in the Bible. But it was around, you take care of your wife, you honor women. A lot of what Pastor Keith talks about, I remember one of the times I got in the most trouble as a kid is I didn't open the door for my mother going into a restaurant, right? So that was something that I learned at a young age, and I try and do everything I can for my wife and my daughter. They're my queen and my princess, and but to me it's honoring them, and at the same time taking care of them and what little things I can do. And again, the fact that my daughter was born. She's the one out of 4 girls and 4 generations on my dad's side. My dad always wanted a girl, so the fact that that was my gift, that I got to kind of, live out his dream and have a girl, it's very, very important to me that I take what I've learned and, again, pass it down to her. I believe she's got a huge calling on her life, and I don't know what that is. But my wife and I sit back, and my prayer every night, and we talk about it all the time, is just making sure we have enough to lead her in the right way, to get out of her way and not stifle anything, right? Not the human side of us. So I ask God for that all the time, is help me understand how to continue to facilitate that and nurture that.
Yeah, what a selfless father thing to do. God our Father gave us Jesus, and here you are, as a father here on earth, living a biblical worldview and doing everything you can with your family, with your wife, honoring your wife, and then at the same time trying your best to ensure that your daughter has all the things so that she can pursue perfection and glorify God. And here you are supporting her and helping her to do that.
It's tough because I reflect a lot on myself, and I know how imperfect I am. And we've had friends that grew up in the house that had a better foundation than we did, and it appears to be life sometimes seems easier for them, right? Because there's a lot of things they don't deal with. So I'm trying to lean towards that, but at the same time, she teaches me as well, and it's crazy to sit back and see the reflection. I'll say something kind of off the cuff, and she'll kind of give me a dirty look, or give me a look, or and I'm like, okay, you're right. I need to do better.
Thank you for correcting me and
thank
making
you
me
for correcting me to do better. Yeah. So unfortunately, I get it twice with her and my wife.
You were blessed twice.
I am, but it's there's a lot I've got to do, and again to show her that I'm not perfect, and to give her that grace that I know she's not perfect, but to talk to her on how to be better.
Yeah.
And make better choices is an honor.
And you're doing it because you're planted here
Absolutely.
in the house, in the right place, surrounded by the right people, so the right things can happen. Chad, it's been wonderful connecting with you on Tribe Talk here and talking about Pastor Keith's past Sunday service.
Absolutely.
And I know you and your family are manifesting God's glory through all the things that you're doing through servant leadership and being here. Thank you so much for joining us today here on Tribe Talk. Make sure you connect with a friend, a family member, maybe a neighbor, and talk about this past Sunday service, because it really brings it alive when you connect with another person and talk about that as well. So make sure you follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and we will see you on the next Tribe Talk. God bless.